Would you be able to do that one? So read, highlight important information. If you did the homework, sit back and relax, right? If you did the homework, you deserve it. You worked hard. But would you be able to come up with the 3 points? Like if I gave you this as a quiz tomorrow, right? Would you be able to read this and sketch it and come up with the 3 points, put them where they belong, and then actually come up with the equation, right? So I want you to just focus on A because everything else flows from A, right? So this is on page 25 in your workbook, and if you don't have your workbook, here it is, right? Try it somewhere on a piece of loose leaf. All right, because time is running out, I'm taking it back. Good for you that are trying it or were trying it. Good. So let's read this. Stephen and a friend are throwing a paper airplane at each other. Okay. So you're like, wait a minute, is it going up and down or is it going down and up, right? But we don't know yet, right? But that's what's happening here. They stand 10 meters apart. Okay, so we know that they're 10 meters apart. And catch the plane 1.2 meters above ground. Okay? Stephen throws the airplane on a parabolic flight and achieves a minimum, there's minimum height of 0.3 halfway between him and his friend. That's also important. That is actually very important, right? Where is that happening, right? Halfway between him and his friend. So underline that like so. And so you have to make a sketch unless, I mean, very few of you could do it without, but I strongly suggest you're doing this. And then you decide what kind of variables are we talking about, right? They stand 10 meters apart. So I would say, okay, this is my distance in meters. Not that that matters. You just put distance and this is your height. And so because, first of all, we know that they're across from each other, right? We know that the plane is being caught at a height of 1.2 meters above ground. So that means that this point, if we're 10 meters apart, right? If this is 10 meters, then this point would be 10, 1.2, right? Even, right, like just by looking at the initial height of 0, a distance of 0, this could be one of them throwing it to the other person. So the plane, because of the minimum mentioned, the plane follows this path. And the minimum we know is hint, hint for vertex, right? And so the minimum height is 0.3. And because it's mentioned that it's halfway, it didn't have to say that, to be honest. It could have just said a minimum height of 0.3. But the minimum is where the vertex is. That's the axis of symmetry, so to speak. So to get, what do we do to get from here to there? We divide it in half, right? So this is 5, 0.3. And there, ladies and gentlemen, you have your 3 points. So we go distance, x, height, y, right? Like so. And I place them in there. And I notice that I have my initial height and at the end, they're kind of across each other. Perfect. So you put this into L1, you put this into L2, stat, calc, 5, and then perform your regression. And I think I will walk you through this one just to make sure you don't have any excuses after that. It's like, Mr. Richard, you only did one example. It's like, I actually did more than that. Right? And so here we go. So we go 0, 5, 10, and then it's 1.2, 0.3, 1.2, right? Stat calc 5. Okay, and there's your equation. It's 0.036, and notice that it's positive, right? You should be able to see everything we've learned that I kind of I explained what A, B, and C does, right? Points up, all of that should be you should be able to see a connection, right? If you get a negative here, well, you're in trouble because it doesn't match the story, right? So let me zoom out. So there's your equation. From now on, I base everything on this. Remember that I could just give you an equation, but regressions, this is how they work. Determine the height of the plane when the plane is 2 meters from the friend, right? So basically, this one is actually an interesting case. If the plane is right here, this is, I don't know, I can't draw a plane. Paper airplane, I don't know. It's kind of stalling and going up, right? But it's right here, 2 meters from the friend. This is the friend. So if you're 2 meters away from it, right? What value are we really looking at when you start at 0? 2 meters away from the friend, which is 8, right? The x value is 8 here. At a distance of 8 from when it was thrown, what is the height there, right? X is equal to 8. So we go second, trace, value, right? X is equal to 8. So I'm going to graph it on my screen here. I'm going to clear that, graph it. I'm going to go zoom 9. There we go. In this case, I'm good. This is perfect, a perfect scenario. So second trace 1, x equal to 8, and that's 0.624. 0.624. Y is equal to 0.624, and we are in meters. That's, if you did that, you'd be fine. As long as you add the units to your answer. If you tried second trace 1 and x is equal to 2, you get the same answer, I think. And that's because it's symmetric, right? This point kind of repeats itself here, right? And so if you miss the fact that it's supposed to be 8, you'll still get the same correct answer. State the restrictions. This is for grade 12 applied, especially. Domain and range are often referred to as restrictions. Like we need to restrict, right? Because your calculator is going to graph the whole thing. We need to say, no, 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 no. We only consider that parabola from here to here, from here to here. So we would go domain. That one is pretty easy, 0 to 10, right? So x values go from 0 to 10. And what about the range? It goes from the lowest of 0.3 to the highest of 1.2. I hope that makes sense. Determine the distance the plane stays at or below 1 meters. 1 meter, sorry, did I say meters? 1 meter, okay? So we want, if we picture it, we want to know if this is 1 meter, how long did it stay at or below? We're interested in this, okay? So we're going to get the time here, and we're going to get the time there, and just subtract them. If you subtract, you get that little arc, right? You get that little arc. In this case, we're interested in this. Anybody do that? Well, here we go. Y is equal to 1. Graph it. Second trace 5. I'm going to go a little closer to it. That's good enough. Enter, enter, enter. So this is 0.5904. Do it one more time. Right? Commercial break. There we go. Enter, enter, enter. That is 9.4096. And of course, I'm going to tell Mr. Dirksen, right, that I did this. Right? Just one time is fine. Let me zoom into that because you can probably barely see it, right? There it is. And then I need to find delta time, right? Delta is the difference. So 9.4 that it did, right? Minus 0.59 and so forth. The time that went by. You've seen delta, right? I'm pretty sure if you're in science, if you're not on your phone or you're not sleeping, you should have heard it, right? You should have seen delta t here. Okay, we are what? Oh, why am I doing delta time? That's not right. It's delta d, right, for distance. It's actually, here we're figuring out like the distance, right, along the ground, right, the distance, the horizontal distance that went by between those 2 points. Okay. Graphing goes without saying. Or do we have time? Yeah, we do have time. But before I do the graph, in case we run out of time, okay, I made all these worksheets, guys. Like I know what's in there. I've made the keys, right? I've done it for a reason to prepare you, so they're not just, hey, page so and so in the textbook, go have fun, right? I actually made all of this. So if you go with me real quick, I think it's page 33. Yeah, there's, if you go to page 33, it says all 4 types review worksheet. So in case you missed it, like here they are again, all 4 of them one more time. So I'll write it down here, right? Homework, page 33, all 4 types review. Okay? All 4 types of review, because if you go there and I'll post the answer key, you'll be able to, give it one last go. Right? And so, to be honest, I don't have a whole lot of, like, I don't have like a massive test review. I will basically just say, hey, if you work through this booklet, that is your review, right? Maybe not every question, but do half or more, and you'll be fine. You know what? This graph, just go get it from the answer key. I graphed it there, so because we're out of time. So tomorrow's quiz, right?